This is Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel. When I think about the critical issues facing Black and brown residents in the St. Louis area, I often ask the questions: how did we get here? What's holding us back? And how do we progress? At 9 PBS, we want to deepen our understanding and change the narrative. Join me as I look for answers and discover solutions on today's podcast.
The following episode contains sensitive content around mental health that may be distressing or triggering to some listeners. We hope that this discussion fosters meaningful conversations, reduces stigma, and promotes understanding.
It became one of the many viral videos showing violence in a school. This time it happened in St. Louis County. A science teacher attacked by a student in the hallway, while other students film it on their cell phones. That educator, now retired, joins me to talk about her recovery and what she believes teachers need in order to feel safe and to remain in the profession. She also discusses the many challenges facing her former students and their parents. Sheryl Rogers joins me next on Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel.
Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel is supported in part by Midwest Bank Center, the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation, and Orvin and Latrice Kimbrough.
Welcome to another episode of Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Everyone is special. I'm saying that every time. This one is indeed special. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking the podcast, and make sure that you become a subscriber. It's very meaningful to us to know that you are out there and that you are listening and learning. I hear that a great deal, that I thought I knew St. Louis. I'm learning so much. I appreciate that because that is our goal. Today's conversation may be triggering to anyone who's been a victim of physical or emotional violence. And we ask that you be mindful of your emotions during this conversation. So perhaps you can stop the video if you need to. We have no problem with that at all. We encourage you to do so. Just take a break and take some deep breaths and then come back to the conversation. We want you to know for sure that you are not alone, that what happened to you was not your fault, and that help is in fact available. So if you are or someone you know is in fact in crisis, you can call or even text to 988, and a trained staff person is available right now 24/7 to answer and to help and to guide you to a safer place and to healing. The headlines we're discussing in this episode were in fact shocking. A video circulating online showing a veteran teacher being attacked in the hallway by a student at Normandy High School. That was in January of this year, and that teacher, Sheryl Rogers, is a friend of mine, and she joins us now in studio. It's so good to see you and so good to have you.
Thank you, Carol. It's great to be out and seen and that someone wants to talk.
I am so glad, always glad to see you. We have known each other for decades.
Yes.
We met, I don't even know the first time we met, and I think you were volunteering.
At the Salute to Excellence in Education, some long year past. So, just always.
You've been a community engaged advocate your entire adult life.
I have. I just believe you should cultivate where you live. Mm-hmm. You live there. So make it better. Engage the people and bring everybody in. When I was a teenager growing up, where we lived in a 4-family dwelling. Now, my mother would get us and all of the children that lived in the building, and we kept that corner, that whole block, clean. People thought my mother owned the building. She said, you live here, you keep it clean. Mm-hmm. And we did. So growing up, that was instilled in me, community.
It has been a few months now.
Yes.
Since the attack. How are you?
I am getting better. Slowly, surely, I am getting better. Thank you for asking.
Did you decide immediately that therapy was necessary? Was that something you requested, or was that something that that you were told you should do this?
That was something that I was told I should do because honestly, I was in a state of shock. I really didn't know what to do. I just felt like I needed something. I wasn't sure what it was, but I was just in a really, I can't really say dark place, but unfamiliar, unwanted, uneasy place.
And unfamiliar, because anyone who has been around you for even 60 seconds knows you to be this joyful
Oh, thank you.
person. And is that why it became unfamiliar, because joy wasn't
Absolutely.
as a parent in your life?
Absolutely. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. Oh, I just felt terrible. I really felt terrible. I just kept thinking I could have done something. I could have done something different, but I really felt really bad. And I am generally a happy person, generally.
You go into your career, which you've been an educator how long?
Ooh, 20 plus years, I'll say. I began as a Sunday school teacher, teaching in the church, and then from there to, I think I started in middle school and then high school. Yes, so I've been an educator most of my life, actually.
You said to me today that you initially thought you might want to be a flight attendant.
Absolutely.
Look at that face.
I love to
It's
travel.
It's still
I
a
thought,
goal.
why didn't anybody encourage me to do that when I was younger? But yes, it is still a goal. It is still a goal.
But so did you went to college?
I went to college straight out of high school. I got a scholarship to college. I went to college, interrupted with marriage and children, went back, finished my degree, finished my teaching certification, finished my master's, and went to teach. And I was having a ball.
Did you always teach? Were you always a science teacher?
I was a family and consumer science teacher.
Okay.
So facts, budgeting, cooking.
Is this what we used to call
sewing.
home economics?
It is.
Really?
It is. And they don't have it much anymore, which is
a
such
shame.
a travesty.
A shame. It's so needed.
Oh my gracious. It's just basic life skills so that you're equipped to do something. I mean, for yourself even.
Yeah, at least take care of your environment.
At
right?
least fix something for yourself to eat if you don't plan to marry or if you don't have that available to you. Yes, I think it's very necessary. I do.
When did you, because you are, I tell everyone that you are a seamstress, you are a tailor. Are you wearing one of your own creations?
I am not wearing one of my own.
It looks like something
creations.
you would have made.
Well, I decorated it. I put fringe on the end, and I added these lovely butterfly buttons, but I didn't make it.
But you could have.
But I could have. Well, sometimes I purchase ready-made garments. I don't make everything, but I could.
Now, truth be told, she will purchase a ready-made garment and disassemble it
I will.
and reassemble it into something totally different.
I will. I've done that on several occasions. Well, because I purchased it for the fabric. Fabric is everything, really. And so it just didn't look like I wanted it to look. So I took it apart, laid my pattern on top of that, boop, 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 and I had a new garment. I love, that brings me joy. That brings me joy. Taking a piece of fabric and then it becomes something. I love that.
How did students take to what we would call home economics?
Well, the girls were excited somewhat. The fellas, they felt like they didn't need to learn how to sew. And I would tell them, well, what if you get a hole in your sock? What if you get a tear in your pants? You can do it yourself. You don't have to wait for your sister, your anybody. You can do it yourself. It's a good skill to have. And if you keep it going, you can make money because people will need that service. And it's a good thing.
How long were you thinking about leaving the profession yourself? Because when this attack happened, you had retired
Yes.
and then were encouraged to come back. Begged, I think,
I,
is probably a good description.
I was encouraged to come back. My mentor and my mentee encouraged me to come back because they didn't have a science teacher. And I really do like science. And I thought, well, I'm still able-bodied, and they need a science teacher. And I said, okay, I'll come back. So I went back.
And such a thing, I'm going to say I was surprised, not for you, but you said this had never happened. Anything like this had never happened to you before.
I had never been assaulted like that. I was totally caught off guard. I just was in a state of shock. I have to still say that. I was in a state of shock. But I kept thinking, it's a child. Even in that, I just kept thinking, it's a child. It's a child. She's a child.
And I express surprise because one thing that we hear so often, sadly, these headlines are not new. We hear so often about
Yes.
negativity, toxicity in classrooms.
Yes.
Is it prevalent?
I will say this. There is a battle between the cell phone and instruction. I allow my students to use the cell phone for research purposes. And sometimes the students don't always have laptops available, so they would do their work on their cell phones. But many of the children are just fascinated with social media.
Right.
So it had become a constant struggle with turn your cell phone off, put it away. And so that was a challenge.
When did you begin to see classroom behavior really change?
Ooh, I have to say, well, honestly, when I came to Normandy, it was the summer after Michael Brown's death. The children were not engaged. They were not engaged. They were not interested in learning at that time. And that was when I entered my time at Normandy High School. It was right the summer immediately following that August.
And what does a student not engaged look like? What is that? How does that show up in the actual classroom setting?
Oh, hoods on, slouch behavior, just not interested. Cell phone, not on the desk, in the lab. And you know from the body posture that they're just not paying attention. Or you're trying to instruct, and there are outside conversations going on in the classroom, which was understandable at the time because that was tragic.
And they were traumatized.
And they were very traumatized. And it still has taken time to recover from that. I'll say that.
And so then as a teacher, you become counselor. You become
Counselor, confidant, comforter. At my desk, I would have a little tin with breakfast bars or something for them, nutritious to eat. Sometimes they wouldn't get breakfast. I mean, just so much toiletries and things for them. Because if a child is not well in their emotion and coming from a place of warmth and caring, they are not interested in learning. They're just not interested in learning.
can't.
You cannot. If you're hungry, if you're afraid, if you're sleepy, if last night there was something going on in your home, in your neighborhood, you couldn't sleep. You come to school, you have to come to school, you're required to come to school, but you are not there. You are not there emotionally, you are not there mentally. And that's what I found a lot of.
When did your ability to reach parents change?
I want to say pretty near the same time we would offer incentives for the parents to come to the parent-teacher conferences. We would have conferences in the morning to accommodate the evening working parents. We would have conferences in the evening to accommodate the day working parents. And I can just say personally, maybe I'll say conservatively 90 students, I may have 10 parents. So disheartening. And you don't know situations, but I would just say if we had more parental involvement, the climate would be different.
Right.
I believe so.
And how are you then able, out of 90 students, 10 parents, 10 caregivers?
You give them all you have when they come to you.
Right.
Because I would say the students spend more of their waking hours in school than they do at home. So when they would come to me, I would just give it to them. Whoever would listen. We would have A to Z affirmations in the morning to quiet them down, to get them all in a frame of, okay, whatever happened out there, that's out there. When you come in here, when you cross this threshold, remember where you're coming. And then I would give them an opportunity to sort of like come down from anything that may have occurred prior to them coming to my classes. And we would have 5 minutes of meditation. So they would be quiet and they would listen. And they would have to close their eyes and just come present to just a still place of calm. And then we would start the lesson.
Did you have breakthrough moments? Because I hear teachers say they can see the light go on.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. When they would get it, oh, they would say, oh. I would say, yes. I really didn't care when you got it, but just get it. It may take 2 days, 3 days, a week sometimes, but just get it. And I would try to present the lessons in ways that would be familiar to them or that they could relate to, just something that they could relate to, and to make it fun and engaging, because science is a lot. And I taught physics, human body systems, and biology. Those are not easy courses, but if you pay attention and if you study and if you have good reading skills, you can learn. You can learn anything. You can learn. And it's our job as teachers to try to present it in a way that they can get it, whatever that means. Present it in a way they can get it. And when they get it, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding when they get it.
I would imagine you heard from other teachers.
Yes.
And how is everybody doing in the classroom? How are teachers doing, and what are they saying? That's a lot of questions.
Some are saying the children have checked out. Some are saying I'm meeting them where they are, but when they come, there's so much that I have to give them to get them to the lesson. They're saying we need support, we need help. Parents, help us. Read to your children, talk to your children, at least engage them in some way about their education, because if it's not important to you, the children won't see the importance of it. You have to make it a priority. At some point, make some time for the children. You have to.
And that then makes me wonder, who's helping the parents then?
The parents need help too.
They need help, right?
They do. We all. It's a community thing. It's when I was growing up, we had a community. I lived in a neighborhood. All the neighbors knew you. They knew your parents. You knew the neighbors. You were respectful. You somebody would see you. They would correct you. You straighten up. You go to school. The teachers were able to, but we had parent-teachers conference. The parents came. It was a little bit different because we all walked to the neighborhood school. It's different now with the busing, but we had much more parental engagement, involvement, and everybody helped to raise the children. Everybody did.
What do you miss?
I miss that. I miss neighbors not even knowing their neighbors, not being able to correct a child without them
Coming at you.
or their parents.
Yeah.
Or their parents. There was a time when Miss Jackson down the street could get you. If Miss White heard about it, she would get you. And by the time you got home, you could just hang it up. 'Cause it's over. But everybody helped to raise the children.
What do you miss about the class? About education, about
it's
teaching?
the support system and reading being fundamental and teaching the children phonics and teaching them the way that we learned. It worked for us. Progress is good. Technology is wonderful. If you utilize it properly, and if everyone understands that it's just a tool, it can't teach the children. That involves human interaction. And science is hands-on. I teach science. You can teach it on the computer, but it's not fun. It's not as much fun, I could say that, because you can get animation and you can get programs that make it fun, looking fun, but you need your hands in some dirt, on some equipment, doing something. You need that.
Are we at a point where we need to go left or right, or we are too far gone to get the teachers we need? Because teachers will heard your story. That's not encouraging people to become educators.
It was not. And if I had seen that, I would say, I'm not going there. But it's not
Too late?
it's not too late. It is not. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start early as possible. And for the children that are already in the educational system, they need help. You need, for an example, when I began, I had an SSD worker in the classroom with me.
SSD is?
Special ed. It's special ed.
Okay.
Special ed. And I would have a person in the classroom that would sit right beside and small group the children who were having challenges with the lesson as it was being presented. We no longer have that. The teacher has to do that along with getting the lesson to the students who are on level. And so then you have to juggle the students on level, the students who are not. Meet them where they are as best you can. Keep those engaged. Engage those that don't seem to be.
So you're teaching
it just requires
like 4 different classrooms
Yes.
in the classroom.
Yes.
Right.
which is differentiated learning. We're trained to do that. I can just say it's challenging. It can be challenging.
But it is not too late.
It's not too late. You cannot say it's too late because
We'd
the
be giving
children
up.
are growing
Yeah.
into adults. If you don't train them, you will just have anarchy.
What do teachers need that they're not getting?
They need support. They need support. They need to have someone. If you're having a moment in your classroom, you need to be able to call someone, hit someone to say, I need a moment. They need, like, in my instance, there was no teacher support system to say, come here, let us put our arms around you and talk about it and let you know that we are with you, we are for you. You are not alone in this thing. They need that.
And what do students need that they're not getting?
Oh my gracious.
That's
they
a long
need so
answer.
much.
They need so much.
They need so very much. They have been traumatized. They have been left to teach themselves through no fault of their own. They are children. Parents need to work. Parents need parenting. I was a part of Parents as Teachers, which was a wonderful program.
Which remains as a wonderful program. It's still there.
I don't hear much about it, but I would be interested to know what is being done with that. Are the students engaged more in education? Is it working? Do we need to do something to make it better? What can we do? Children are hungry. They're being. It's so much. It's just so much that the children need. So much.
What is next for you? You
What
are
is-
fully retired now.
I am still contemplating what is next. At this point, I can't say what's next.
But going back into the classroom is not.
Is not a desire of
Yeah.
mine. I've given them good time in the classroom. I've been in the classroom 20 years plus. So I'm agreeing to let the next regime come in. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I can help you. I can just let you know what worked for me, what to try, how to make it a rewarding, engaging environment. But I personally do not want to be in the classroom with the children.
Maybe you'll be in the air.
Well, energy, I send my energy out. I can just tell you this. I did speak with my mentor and a few other of the teachers at the school. And my mentor, she was so upset. She said, the light has gone out. It's like the light is out.
Because you're gone?
Because I'm gone.
You are light.
Oh, thank you. I just like to be encouraging and engaging any way you can, because you don't know what anyone is
Going through.
experiencing. You don't know. Smile at the people. Hey, I mean, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much.
Well, I am so grateful that you wanted to come and talk about a difficult time.
Yes.
And I am so glad that you are on a healing journey.
Yes, I am.
And you are on this journey on purpose. You are
Yes.
being intentional,
Yes, I am.
I understand,
Yes, I
about
am.
trying to recover.
I am, because I was a dancer. I was a roller skater. I enjoyed volunteering and being out in the community, and I just don't feel like I'm fooling myself to engage in those activities right now. So yes, I am on the road to recovery.
Because you want to re-engage.
I shall re-engage.
There it is. And there it is. You shall.
I shall.
Cheryl,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for even having me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
So we want to say again that if you are, or someone you love is experiencing any kind of trauma, any kind of emotional difficulty, that you can call or text 988, and there will be a trained staff member who's going to answer and talk you through and walk you through. And be like Cheryl, be intentional. Be intentional about your mental health. If you are an educator who is going through, you are not alone, and we want you to seek the help that you need, because you are, in fact, you're needed, whether it's in the classroom or in the community. You are absolutely needed. So Cheryl, thank you again for joining us on Listen St. Louis.
Teachers need to be treasured. Treasure teachers. I'd like to leave you with that.
That's a great way to leave it.
Treasure teachers.
Treasure teachers. And we thank you for joining us on another episode of Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel. You can like, you can subscribe, you can share, and please comment and let us know your thoughts about this episode. We appreciate you always. Thank you for joining us on Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel. We'll see you next week.
For more more information about 9PBS's mental well-being initiative, visit 9pbs.org/mental well-being.
Listen St. Louis with Carol Daniel is supported in part by Midwest Bank Center, the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation, and Orvin and Latrice Kimbrough.